Welcome to day 2 of Valorant First Strike Europe main event. We had a jam-packed day yesterday, but there is more action coming up today. I am Youngsu and I am joined by two lovely gentlemen, the wonderful Hypok and the guy who can land a shock dart from anywhere on the server. It's Jonas. Guys, have you managed to recover from everything that happened yesterday yet?
Almost. I mean, I was insanely shocked by how close the G2 match actually ended up being, even though it said 2-0. It didn't really represent the actual match, and it was just insane how both teams were so confident in playing attack on split, but they both seemed to crumble on defense. So I'm really interested to see if that's like a new meta that we're coming to now, where split actually might even be attacker-sided.
Yeah, I mean, yesterday was a fantastic start, more than we probably could have asked for from day one across both series as well. I mean, great, unless you're a Liquid fan. We've got to address that. Heretics, though, definitely impressed me. A couple of really standout individual performance, Lowell and Pora, which maybe wasn't so much of a surprise to people like Lothar. And obviously he gassed him up coming into this. But yeah, again, we've got a stacked couple of matches on the way today. So hoping for potentially a few more upsets.
Oh, I mean, we shall see, we shall see. Well, yesterday, the First Strike main events kicked off in 7 different regions. We saw a lot of fun stuff, upsets, and everything in between. And I want to use this opportunity to highlight some of the things that happened on the server yesterday. In Europe, we saw the domino effect of the FPX Viper. She made another appearance in the G2 August game, with Boo showing off what he can do with Valorant's most underrated agent.
Yeah, I mean, we already talked about, obviously, the series with G2 and August yesterday, but Boo, for me, was a standout, not just on, in terms of playing the Viper, but, in terms of individual mechanical performance here. And it's always nice that we allude to the fact of sometimes whether or not it's going to be a pocket pick for some teams. So it's really good for a team to kind of pull this out against G2, and it looked this good as well.
Yes, it did. Well, across the Atlantic, Sky and Icebox were activated. Both Renegades and TSM brought out the Aussie Wolfpack, but it was TSM's Cutler who had the last laugh.
Yeah, we finally saw Sky, and hopefully maybe we'll see Sky here in Europe as well. Sky has some really interesting utility. You see some of it here with the flashes being thrown from these weird angles, and the flash actually gathers information as well. So in a way, you can see her maybe replacing Sova, hopefully not. But it's definitely something that we're hoping to see today, because Sky is here to stay, and it's really interesting to see what she's going to be able to do.
Well, Jonas, I never thought you would say that anyone could replace Sova. But let's bring things back to Europe. Lastly, we witnessed a bloodbath yesterday. Heretics took down Team Liquid despite the effort from Scream. He dropped 89 frags across 3 maps, but it just wasn't enough in the end to secure them the win.
Yeah, I mean, it was heartbreaking to watch. I kind of do want to say this as well, a fantastic start to the day. It was a really exciting series. I mean, Scream just popping off. There were so many circumstances and scenarios we saw him getting into, and really, we can talk about underperformance, but the way in which they enabled Scream to make these plays was actually something very satisfying to watch.
Yeah, and of course you can always say this, that of course when Scream pops off like this, it also makes the rest of the team kind of look worse, because there are just no frags left. But as always, a team wins and loses as a team, and that's the way we have to see it, and the team needs to go through what they did and find out how they can do differently in the future.
Just to kind of echo on from that, Heretics played absolutely lights out. Let's not take anything away from them. Like I said, they really impressed me. There were a couple of really interesting setups. I particularly like their defensive setup on Ascent over on A site. That time and time again was causing problems for Liquid, and it just goes to show that there are some teams that are going to creep up and maybe surprise us this week and become contenders.
And speaking of Team Liquid and Heretics, Mitch has picked out some of his key moments from the matchup yesterday.
Thank you very much, Yinsu. Yes, this is Mitch's Moments, or should I say, welcome to my world. I'm going to take you through a couple of the early round setups that we saw from Heretics. We won't focus on the chaos that ensued in the late round. Well, I want to talk about the different setups that they deployed. Now, we've got this fancy new gadgetry here. I haven't had a chance to use this yet. Honestly, we've all been so excited, but I'll be the guinea pig. We'll see how this one goes. So what we can do here, playing, pausing, rewinding, forwarding. It's so much fun. But I can also draw. And if we zoom in on the map just to start us out, we can take a look at this camera over here. And this camera gives a lot of information over to Team Heretics. They can tell straight away that there is nobody outside a bathroom. Off the back of that, you pretty much have a one-man hold on the A site when you combine in these traps right here. This allows Cypher to rotate into a position where he can better help defend the B site if they do face any early contact. And that's especially important because of how aggressive they are in towards Hookah. And you'll see this, as utility and players start to move up B long, they actually begin to fall back and then take over Hookah presence while that Cypher cautiously rotates around. This setup is much more passive on A than what we'll see in a little bit, but on the B side, it's a unique take that definitely can catch a couple of teams off guard. Combining the smoke that they used on long, whoops, said it was new technology. Combining the smoke that they used on long with this ice wall that comes up in middle, it slows down Liquid's push. And what actually ends up happening is that Liquid don't quite know what to do. They haven't got control outside of A, so it's very risky to rotate back. So they kind of wait it out. They wait for the smoke to fade. They try to skirmish on the wall, but that costs them time and allows for the Cypher rotate to come through. Let's compare and contrast that to the next round, just one later, where we see a similar setup come out from Heretics. Now, they have the camera again, but you'll notice straight away that there's a Sage very close by. And combine that with the recon arrow that they throw out to get a little bit of info there's no one outside of B. They believe this to be potentially an A hit. Perhaps they've got a read on Liquid. You never know what's going on in the comms. The purpose of this Sage, though, is that when they face contact on middle, which this peek here gives away that we're seeing on the screen, the ice wall goes down. Now, this wall is going to allow them to have a very advanced position where they know that nobody can push up in through Bath. What have I done there? Let's go back out of that one. So they know that nobody can push up through Bath because the wall is in play. Now, I know what you're thinking. Or maybe not. The camera's up, right? So they know they have that control anyways, but this allows Cypher to actually get over onto the site and help out in defending it without having to worry about someone pushing up behind, because you don't want to be stuck on your smartphone the whole time, not at the dinner table. Now, this round allows, because they have all this advanced information, it's very hard for Liquid to actually push up. They're facing tripwires. One over towards Hookah actually ends up, or Lamps, excuse me, actually ends up costing Scream his life because of that advanced dash, a very quick one. The rotates are coming in. There's 4 players on the A site before a push even comes in. And they mix it up again, coming into the very next round. Round on round, Heretics were changing it up. This time, straight away, I want you to tell me what's different about this. I can't hear you, actually, so it doesn't really work. But if you said the Cypher position, you're right. He's actually gone over towards the B site this time. Different traps. I'm not a big fan of this camera, but we'll ignore it for now. We'll say it's good. This position with 3 players towards B is quite aggressive. What they're doing, though, is setting up this recon dart that we see right there. That allows them, it might not be the best one in the world, but it does clear out this whole area around here. They know no one's in middle. I've done it again. We'll stick it like that. So they're coming up around middle. There's nobody there. Then Sova's going to rotate to the A side. This wall as well, though, is very important. What this allows them to do is it blocks off this entire path, allowing, first of all, if there was some aggression coming through, which you'll notice here on our cool little rewind, that there was actually a Sova dart, right? That Sova dart means that the wall is popped straight away. They can get an ult orb, and they can start to move back over towards the site with their extra ult charges built up. It didn't really serve a lot of purpose in the early round because of what Liquid were doing, but it did at least limit down some of the options for their opposition. They end up going for a bit more of an aggressive approach to it, and we see a similar thing then happen in round number 11, 2 rounds later, where the setup again sees a bit of a difference on B, right? They do push up, but there's another ice wall. This time, a difference is that it's much more passive. The Sage actually plays on top of it to try and peek out and find an advantage in the early stage of the round, and when she doesn't, she starts to push up. Gets into a position then where an early flank can actually be had by this team, as you'll see here as we fast forward. The utility used up outside of the B site keeps the players out. There's still a 3-man stack in the first place, and now a flank comes in for the late round, where the Sage can actually completely catch them off guard, as well as allowing that 4th player to rotate through once ults are used. The way that they approached bathroom control in particular changed almost every round, and that's a really key factor in determining why it was so difficult for Liquid to actually get a read on what they needed to change in order to beat this defense. There's some teams that just go hyper-aggressive. I think G2 are the ones that really will ring through for that. They like to push random parts of the map at different times. But I love this setup of actually changing where your agents are playing and how they're playing the positions when they're there to just make you ultimately unpredictable and unreadable. There's a really nice thing for Heretics, and really, we could sit here all day, I certainly will, with these tools messing around and analyzing how Heretics won that match, but we have to get on with the show, don't we? So let's throw it back over to the guys on the desk to fill us in on what else is coming up.
Thank you so much, Mitch. That was a wonderful job you did, I thought. You know, first time on the tour, definitely won't be the last. But, you know, I am still digesting everything that happened yesterday. I think it's going to take me a while to get over it. But as I said, we have more First Strike action coming up today. First up, SUMN FC are taking on Purple Cobras, followed by FPX versus No Penky.
I'm so excited to see FPX play.
Yeah.
Because like FPX, they have showed so many times that they're such a well-established team. They kind of came out of nowhere for a lot of people, I think. But Angel has just shown again and again that he's able to just pick these perfect rosters and just shape them into gods. And you have like Zipan, who just seems to do these amazing mechanically things that I could dream of doing. So I'm just really excited to cast and see them play.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I called it on day one. Zipan's my kind of player to watch this time around. So really excited for that series. I mean, SUMN FC, again, it's not going to disappoint. There's way too many UK lads in a server at one time. So I'm expecting absolute chaos on that front. But I mean, both of them have had a good run, right? I mean, Purple Cobras defeating NIP and Need More DM on their side of the qualifier. SUMN, you know, building up a bit of a win streak as well. So they'll definitely make a run for things right now. And I think, you know, probably coming up on a lot of teams' radars.
I mean, if anything, if we're going to go by yesterday, anything can happen, and I cannot wait to get into it. But before we get into the games, Jonas has kindly prepared a video, you know, because he likes Sova, in case he hasn't mentioned it yet at any point over the last 2 days. But what? Jonas really likes Sova, and he also happens to really like Icebox. Here is a video from him on those sweet spots you can hit with those Sova arrows on Icebox.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to quickly show you why Sova can be really good on Icebox. We're going to start attacking on A. This recon dart lands inside the nest, and it reveals a lot of backside, and you can basically gain tons of info from all the regular corners you're camping at, and it's a really good way of getting a lot of info on where the enemy team is defending. If they're playing close in like an eco, you can do this recon dart to wallbang through this nest, even with a classic. It lands right in the door frame, so you can shoot on both sides. This is a mid-control arrow that lands right on the tip of the box, the ice box, if you'd like. And it's another one that's just meant to give you a lot of control, early info where the enemy is standing. This is for early info in B. There are a lot of cubbies that the defending team can camp on, and this one clears out all the cubbies in the close area, and it hits right on the crane. This is a shock dot that you do after you've planted to kind of deny the defending team from retaking and defusing the bomb, and it lands on the most common plant spot. This is a double shock dart that you do after you planted on A, and it's intended to hit another default plant spot, and it kind of throws people off because they don't really expect it. It's kind of hard to see it coming because it comes over the box. This is another one after plant. If you have a teammate who plants for you, you can play all the way back here and it still works. And it's really hard to find you because you can see how far back you are here. So this is a really nice way of stalling the defuse. This is a defender recon dart to gain early information. So you can see both sides of the pushing team on A, because it lands right on the corner and gives you a lot of info, and you can tell your team if they should rotate or not. This is the same arrow as earlier, but from the defender point of view, you hit a corner to try to get as much early info as possible so your team can rotate earlier. This one is more like a niche arrow, but you can actually wallbang the tube even with a classic, a low penetration, and this arrow reveals everything inside the tube. You can also wallbang through kitchen with heavy penetration weapons, so this arrow lands inside kitchen, and you can use an Odin to shoot through the wall. This is a retake arrow that hits on a crane, same spot as when you push as attack, except this is for after when the bomb has been planted. So it's going to be easier for you to find out where the enemy is playing post-plant. And this is another info arrow, except you shoot it from B. So it's the same principle. It hits the box in the middle, where you gain a lot of early information. And here you have anti-plant shock dart. You need to anticipate when they're about to plant, and this one hits right on default. You can also use it as a post-plant if the enemy team is playing retake from T-spawn. It's a really good arrow. This is a retake arrow for A. It's natural if you're playing anchor on B and your team is already trying to retake, you want to send your arrow as quickly as possible to help them, and this is a nice way of revealing A site. And lastly, this is a double shock dart. You're actually using the stars to line this one up, so just be really creative here, guys. This one is to kill the pushing enemy team when they are using the standard peak spot towards B, for instance, with an operator or something like that.
Rion's gonna try to teleport, it works, but he gets right into the eyes of SUMN, who has 4 kills to his name. He has the health advantage, that's for certain, but an ace to close the half.
Most of these players, other than Boaster, have full-time jobs or in full-time education, which means their practice schedule is very limited compared to other teams, and yet they're still able to be within the top 10 of Europe. That on its own shows that they're motivated, they're hardworking, and they're determined to find success within this game.
The absolute wall!
But their coach, Mini, who I was mentioning about earlier, he does want to get into the VALORANT guide full-time. He wants to quit his job and make it a reality.
We have a very strange practice schedule. Obviously, we can't play as much as sign teams.
It's a good angle. Let's see if he delivers. Oh, it's a great angle. He does. Dodges the flash and even gets the third.
We've been treated as like underdogs of tournaments and like these tournaments, but to play in this tournament and get this far and be able to qualify for the main event is super hype for the boys. In terms of how we're going to compete against G2, FPX, Liquid and Co, I think we'll do all right, and you might see us in the finals.
The story for Purple Cobras is that they are flying under the radar, and I myself might underestimate them.
They've got some very experienced players on this roster. One thing I've got to start with here, right? Because Fancy, he's got the experience at the pro levels. He's also the in-game leader, and he is a person who can switch things up on the fly.
And a third kill for BZT on this round. He is shooting for the ace. But Tigany, pushed here. Fancy, gun will come out. Putting away the ult. Oh! Right around the side of the box, he sends a message.
Hugstar, he's the ex-PUBG guy. I covered him many years ago, and he wasn't finding huge success. He wasn't one of the big names in that.
Gonna get aggressive on this A site. Oh my God, Hugstar.
No way.
What?
Oh,
He could have basically closed his eyes at that point. It's just his movie that we're watching.
And you look at Machina.
3 players. Oh, poor Hugstar. The fact they try to get aggressive. Oh! No show started. Yo!
Everyone would like to play like you right here.
I don't know, just take off and left click.
Ah, all right. That's the key. Operator left click.
Our opponent for the quarterfinals is SUMN FC. Boaster has impressed me quite a bit. He is the glue for that team. His in-game leading is quite hands-on to the other players. All in all, I think it'll be a good match to watch. I respect them as opponents, and I wish them the best of luck.
Boaster is the glue for SUMN FC, but let's not forget their coach, Mini. I am joined now by Mini himself. Hi, welcome to the show, Mini. I just want to start this off by asking you one simple question. You know, Banks said in that video that you also want to do Valorant full-time. You want to be with the boys full-time, and you said you were going to quit your job if SUMN FC made it to the main event. Now, have you quit your job, Mini?
I have quit my job, Yinsu. I'm still working right now until the 18th of December. So 2021 is when I'll be able to grind full time. So like this week, I've had time off. So I've been able to prepare with the boys. So yeah, it's been good. I think that it's been a bit of a struggle, obviously, me being working, because I think that Banks said that Boaster was the glue of the team. But I think it's... me and Boaster, I'd like to say, that we are the kind of glue behind the team. I think generally the decision to quit my job was based on the fact that I kind of achieved the stuff I want to achieve in my career, and it will always be there for me to go back to. but this is kind of like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And I think that we're ready to prove to the world that we are a top team in Valorant.
You are already a top team in Valorant, I would argue, but you guys are still unsigned. Now, talk to me about some of the challenges you face, you know, coming into this as a team with no backing or support from an org.
I think the obvious answer to this is that we don't have as much time as the signed teams to prepare. We have a very strange schedule, which involves things like doing server time before like midday, and then Doma going to school and coming home at like 6 p.m. and then having to play like practice in the evening when better teams aren't playing. So that's like one of the main things. But also it's like one of those things where we feel when you're a signed team, there's pressure obviously for you to perform. Like you're going to get flamed on social media if you lose, but at least at the end of the day, you have that structure there and you have that fallback, whereas we don't have that fallback. And we feel that these games are going to prove to organizations how good we are. So we feel that pressure. And to be fair, we don't really see ourselves as an unsigned or signed team. We just want to be the best. So it's like, we don't care if we're signed or unsigned. We're going to commit to the same level of professionalism, whether or not we're signed. And I think you can see that in how hard we work.
Well, a lot of your fans will care whether you're unsigned or signed because they've been rallying behind you to try and get orgs to notice you. I'm sure they will notice you with your performance today. Lastly, I just wanted to ask you, you do have Purple Cobras today. You've never played against them before. What are we expecting?
They're a team that's been on my radar for a while. I respect the boys, and I think that they have done all the right things to get to this point. I think that they've recently changed Machina to a Jet. Before he was playing a Sentinel, and he looked incredible on Cypher before. Played more like a Pora kind of role where he was just really aggressive and fragging. But I do think the Jet switch up kind of makes sense. And I think they brought in Honeybee as a Sentinel, and you can tell that he's a good anchor player. So I respect the boys, and I think it'll be a good game. But I think to analyze this game and build the narrative that it's unsigned versus unsigned would be a mistake. I think that we are the favorites, and I do think it would be quite a clean game for us, to be honest.
Well said, Minnie, well said. We'll have to find out, though, how clean it will be. But for now, I'm going to let you go to do a little bit more preparations with the team. Thank you so much for joining me, and best of luck in the quarterfinals.
Thank you very much, Yinsu.
Well, boys. Okay, you heard it from Minnie. He doesn't like the narrative of an unsigned team versus a signed team, and he believes that SUMN FC are the favorites going into this. What do we think about that?
Well, do they either of these teams have orgs? I could have sworn they're both unsigned.
They are both unsigned. I mean, if anything, this is where you want to come and be an unsigned team that's then very successful at First Strike, right?
Yeah, exactly. We're just trying to help them out by saying, you know what? They're unsigned, so get them while it's hot. No, look, the reality is for SUMN, I think the big words being spoken by Minnie. Yeah. I want to start by saying I respect him. The quitting the job. I mean, look, we've all been there, right? Going full-time into esports is tough, especially if you've got something good already lined up, and it takes balls. Without an organization, without a steady flow of cash there, I really respect that move, and I think he's onto a very good team with SUMN. Could pick them up because they're unsigned, I've heard. But also the fact that he's talking a big game, saying Cobras are going to be an easy win, that they'll roll them. I don't know that I fully agree with that.
Well, he said clean.
Clean means easy.
It was a respectful way. Yeah, Hypok, what do you think? I mean, he said they're the favorites. Do you think they're the favorites?
I mean, I said this earlier. I mean, there's a lot of British talent in this lobby. Anything can happen. Both of these teams have kind of been stepping up recently. I mean, we can look at records and stuff. Some of them have obviously been on a tear. I mean, in terms of actual map-for-map records, they're on pretty much the same on paper win streak as G2. Now, again, those polar teams obviously a little bit different, but this is over 7 best-of-3 or more series. So they've had a really, really good opportunity to prepare for this event. I mean, Doma, for me, is a standout. Statistically, he's been, like, on top, pretty much. And it shows in game as well that they're kind of leading the charge for the team. But, yeah, this, for me, Purple Cobras can't be underestimated. I like this kind of ethos that Purple Cobras kind of have come out of nowhere. I mean, previously, the roster with VZ, Hugstar, etc. Middling success, glimmers of hope, but they look much better this time around.
I know Minnie said that in that interview that it was going to be a clean game from them. I just want to propose that I feel like this is going to be a very wholesome matchup. I'm saying that because, you know, in the past, even if we take things from yesterday, there is quite a strong rivalry between teams. Sometimes, you know, teams do like trash talking, teams do like giving it. I don't necessarily think Minnie was giving it, and I think he chose those words because there is actually a really good relationship between SUMN FC and Purple Cobras. It is very wholesome. These guys respect each other. And for those of you guys who don't know, Vlad Dede actually initially trialed for SUMN FC. So this really could have well been Vlad Dede on this roster, but you know, they decided to go with a different direction. But he doesn't take that personally. He says in interviews that he loves Boaster, he respects Boaster, he wants to play against this team. There's no bad blood, and I just think it's without going into the unsigned team versus the unsigned team narrative, I'm going to dub it the wholesome quarterfinal.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think it's also going to be a really fun one from a strategical standpoint, because when we spoke with Purple Cobras, what we got from them was essentially that they're G2. They're G2, but without the success. They said that they just push because they feel it. They play super confident. And when you watch back their games, there are countless times where if I pause it and say, this guy's about to push, is that the right call? The answer is no. And he headshots 3 people, and you're like, oh, I guess it is. Like, they've got the confidence, and they've got the skill to back it up. That's why I love watching these guys, because they give you that real G2 vibe like most other teams can't.
Yeah, I mean, it's that fast and loose play style, right? And maybe 1 out of 3 times, and you convert that success rate and improve it. I mean, Hugstar for me has been the standout. We saw a couple of clips there of him showing off just how much he's improved on that duelist role, in particular on Raze, obviously. But again, it's getting to this point, that mutual respect dynamic, I kind of like that, because both teams are going to be coming in well prepared for this in terms of executions, in terms of strategies. I don't think we're going to see too much of that fast and loose be employed in this series.
Well, you know, both of these teams had quite different routes to the main event, and SUMN FC pretty much only played Haven and a little bit of Split, and we have the map vetoes here. Wow, okay. I'm just gonna say straight up, Purple Cobras leaving Haven open right after I said that SUMN FC have only played Haven is either a big brain move, or maybe it might have been a mistake if they don't play Icebox, because they did ban Icebox.
Well, me and you were talking about this earlier, so this is an opportunity potentially for Purple Cobras to maybe employ some anti-strategy. So leaning away from that fast and loose kind of G2 deathmatch kind of play style and relying on that. So like you said, it could be a big brain, or it could be a shoot yourself in the foot sort of thing, or maybe a protective veto process for another map.
What I like here is that you've got the best maps for both teams, really. I would consider Bind to be Purple Cobra's favorite. I would consider Haven, obviously, as we're saying, to be a very strong map for SUMN. And then Split is in the middle of the pack. I mean, there's only 4 maps, so there's nowhere else it could be except the bottom. And then you'd ban it out. With taking Icebox out of the play as well, I think I'm surprised even when I see some teams leaving Icebox in at this point, because it's a risk. Like, there's so little data on it. Are you going to risk it at the biggest tournament? Liquid probably would, but you know, nobody else has those kind of balls. So taking it out here for Cobras, I view as a smart move, purely because if I think about which of these teams invested more time into preparation in the grand scheme of things, it is SUMN FC. I would imagine they would be better prepared for this. And we've already seen some switch-ups. Do you want to add in the likes of a Sage to the Cobras lineup when Machine has only recently had to switch off that Sentinel role, going on to Jet? They're all like, they're comfortable with where they're at, and I don't think that they can easily slot themselves into a map like Icebox.
That is a great point. I think banning that even at this stage makes sense. But then for them to not play Icebox, if they do win today and go through and play some of the other teams at the event, I think that might be a mistake, because if you're going to go up against FPX, I mean, it almost doesn't matter which map you ban and don't ban, same as G2. They're going to be great on them all. But, you know, guys, with the information we have now, given the fact that we are going into Bind first, and that is Cobra's pick, which team do you fancy in this series?
Hey, I like that. Which team do you fancy?
I had to.
Obviously, you've got a history with Hugstar. I know Fancy intimately. This guy played Battalion. I covered his team.
Jonas is going to be jealous.
He is. You know what? We can share. I love Fancy. This guy, he's so positive. He's such a good player. It's so nice to see another guy from Battalion out there succeeding as well. I'm going to go at Purple Cobras. And the reason for that, I favor them going through the qualifiers. against Need More DM. It hurt me. I said everyone was going to underestimate them. They did. And Purple Cobras, they didn't dominate, but they did on Bind. And that's the key point for me. They 13-4'd Need More DM on Bind. That blew my socks off. My jaw was on the floor watching that game. I think that they've got what it takes to cause what I will pin as an upset, though. I will admit I think SUMN FC are the favorites, but something here just tells me to side with the Cobras.
I love that. I love that. What about you, Hypoc?
I mean, Bind for me, again, I'm leaning the same way. Purple Cobras is Razor's playground. Hugstars look fantastic. And actually, Cobras themselves, they've worked around. They have two different dynamics to play around that Raze. They either enable him to put him into a spot to do so, but Hugstars also look fantastic from some solo spots, so to say. So yeah, I mean, statistically, I've got to follow the numbers, really. And I've underestimated Cobras a few times now. Took my eye off them when obviously VZ stepped away from the roster, but they've just looked so good. I can't say otherwise.
So let me just preface this. That
I'm sorry, but we do have Agent Select and SUMN FC. They are one for my heart. Mystic. Okay, Mitch, you loved Boo yesterday for this. You have to love Mystic today for that Viper again. This is getting spicy.
So,
I am loving life.
It's not just that, but it's Doma taking the Omen then instead.
Exactly.
Still playing with the controller. They've got two of them essentially. I'm really curious to see how these guys are going to go about using that Viper, because all that we've seen on Bind so far, for the most part, within Europe, has been using her as a controller instead of an Omen, instead of a Brimstone. The fact that you're going to have Doma, who's so solid on the Raze, stepping back into a smoker role, that excites me. It shows that they put a lot of thought into the value of utility as well.
Well, this is really interesting. Again, a mechanically talented player stepping onto that. We were talking earlier about how innovative SUMN FC have been in terms of their preparations, in terms of kind of thinking outside the box and trying new things. This is a really good example to kind of see the fruit of their labors, really.
And it's not a Brimstone, is the other thing, right? Like, a lot of teams, most teams I would almost say, will go for that Brimstone route, but they've decided to put an Omen. Now, maybe that's because of comfort levels of Doma. I'm not 100% sure, but I will keep a close eye on the Omen and Viper combination and how SUMN have got this one planned out.
I mean, knowing Doma the way I do, I feel like he's way too flashy to be put on that Brimstone. He does not want to be the one sitting back waiting to shoot the molly for afterplan. Like, he wants to blind 5 people with that paranoia and just go in and get an ace. But yeah, that is very exciting. Like you said, we have seen Vipers. We've seen the FPX Viper. We've seen the Augurless Viper. And now we're going to see the SUMN FC Viper. You know, it is time, you guys, for our third quarterfinals. Like I said, it's SUMN FC versus Purple Cobras, and I'm sure the caster desk cannot wait to get into this one.
Ooh, okay, we've got some fun picks coming out. I'm joined by Lothar, but let's cut the nonsense. Let's cut all the niceties of, you know, welcome to the casting, don't care. Viper coming out straight into the pick. Omen as well.
No duelist on the entire composition. I am so happy we're gonna see this. This is why I love Valorant. We're gonna go into competitive scene. If every tournament, I feel like there was gonna be something new, a team will be trying something new, we're gonna have a completely, like, the entire metagame thrown out of the window. And it's gonna be fantastic.
We can theory craft how it can be applied, right? We can see how it could happen, but we have to see it in the server. That's what I'm waiting on. And with the players who picked it up, we've got Mystic on the Viper, right? And I think it's Doma on the Omen.
On Omen, yeah.
Now, as said, Doma, this guy he's not a sit-back player. Let the plays happen to him. He creates moments.
Definitely not. He has the highest average combat score in the entire team in all of the games that they had in the, well, qualifiers so far. So, if I'm not mistaken, 289 ACS in my notes, 1.62 KD.
That's pretty
overall.
good.
He's the best in his team when it comes to stats. And now he's taking that Omen role, which I'm gonna assume he's gonna play very aggressively. He's gonna do what he was doing with the Raze, with the satchels, but he's gonna do that with Paranoia into a teleport, so he takes that flank, he gets those, let's say, surprise kills. So it's gonna be a different Omen than what we typically see because of the Viper that will allow it to take control of the map, will smoke off a lot of angles and use the snake bites to cut off other angles, and then Omen will just do what he does best in an aggressive stance.
Okay, we're going to see the personality come through in these agents. So guys, if you're just tuning in, look towards SUMN FC. Keep your eyes on Mystic, keep your eyes on Doma. These two could create moments, but the Des did say this map does look very favorable to the opponents of Purple Cobras. So we'll see how this one unfolds. We're live into it right now. Still a quarterfinal, so a lot to be seen, and it looks like a pretty default piece up short towards A so far. Nice little dash, but that's going to open up to Mystic. That's one, that's two, and a third!
Why do you even try to attack when you know there's a one way from Viper here? That's insane. They didn't get in recon like that tells them exactly where the opponents are. It's fantastic.
This is exactly why that Viper coming in is going to keep our attention, because it's things maybe they're not so used to dealing with. But seeing that one way, you're right, they should have noted it instantaneously. But now we're down to Honeybee and Fancy, the last two standing for the Cobras. They'd love to get some damage done, but all the rotations are here. Mo's got the first. Fancy. That footwork better be good. The knife's around.
Oh my god, the knife!
Oh, Doma,
Still, this was a prime gaming flawless round.
Oh, I'm so happy. I'm just happy. I hope everyone's happy at home, because we just got to see a really sick round. Like, let's talk about that one way that came in and how they were able to kind of capitalize on that.
So I think what is very important is when you play against a Viper in a pistol round and you don't know the exact playstyle she represents yet for that team, it's important to get that recon and try to bait out the utility first. What Cobras did is what they do typically in almost every single map is just, oh, let's just push. Yeah. And they pushed through a snakebite for a one-way. It was a recipe for disaster.
Okay, let's see if they can recover. And hopefully for the Cobras, it looks like a very clean round coming out from them. Just, you know, the classics. I don't see any upgraded weaponry. So they're going to try and keep this clean. If they can do anything, a spike plant, maybe get a gun away. These are all small ticks in the boxes for them. And for now, it looks like kind of a little bit of a lean towards B. But you can see already that utility exchange towards the showers. That constant back and forth of information between teams is going to be constant in this.
Really like the way SUMN is playing this. No one stayed on a ghost, not a classic everyone buys. I really like the fact that also there's one Stinger, because that's the guy that's going to be saving a lot more cash on top of the other people in this team. So there are no chances here. SUMN knows that they play for their strengths. They want to keep this momentum going. They're not going to lose an eco. To an eco.
Exactly. But that is a massive thing, is keeping control of the economy. Now, good information for Doma. Already going to get the good idea of where they're going. You'll imagine they'll be trying to play as a pack, and now seeing that come through, you know there's at least a couple more players coming their way. And you can see for now, SUMN FC keeping good range. They're not going to get trying toyed into any of these close fights. And exactly as expected, it's going to be a clean sweep so far. Yes, they've lost out on Shaq, but beyond that, this is safe and comfortable. And have Doma getting the kills is always beneficial. This is a player that will respond to getting that confidence early. It's something that I guess we were discussing, you know, before the game started, is some of these players are a little less experienced. You know, I'm used to not having to consider this, but some of them need that good start. They need that confidence builder. Get a couple of easy frags, yeah, maybe against pistols, but it gets that momentum building.
True, we kind of need to see the stats on how old are the players.
Yeah.
Because when you consider other tactical FPS games, these seen as like, you know, rooted in ground for a very long time.
Yes.
And here we have a lot of newcomers coming from other games, maybe even didn't play a competitive game before.
Absolutely.
So it's very interesting. One more thing that I wanted to point out in the previous round is that I have seen Cobras play for orb control. They realized that SUMN is going to play very defensively, and because of that, they're putting kind of away any attention to the orbs, and that means that Cobras will be able to fight for those orbs without any, like, you know, repentance basically coming from SUMN.
Now, I like this one-way being shown again. Now, I wonder if they've been able to read into it after that pistol. This is a very similar position for Mystic here. Tucked himself in the corner, waiting to see if anyone comes through. It is going to buy time. We're about down to a minute or so. The intention may be starting to be red here, but this is a very all-in piece, and that freebie that Boaster got at the start is going to help. A quick switch to the gun, and Boaster's going to get another. The man leading from the front so far as Mystic still gets away with it. Back goes the orb, and the chances once again get denied. Keep in mind, they have 2 leftover SMGs up against a fully bought out Cobras. They had all the rifles that they wanted, but now Vlad and Fancy need to do some damage. This otherwise will be a whitewash, but I love how SUMN FC are playing this. Very considered, very playing deep, making the Cobras come to them. And now the last player noted, nice shot from Vlad.
30 seconds left.
A 1v4 is a little bit of a tall task. Let's stick on board with Vlad, see what he can make happen from this one if possible. Have a little view, see what's up in potential. He's got the second. Not bad. This is great work. If they keep feeding him, they're going to cost them money. Those reinvestments get a little bit trickier. Of course, the money should be okay for SUMN FC, but Vlad's still going to start working out a little here. Spike is in a very bad spot, so that's pretty much the end of the line, but damage is key.
Well, for SUMN, this is going to be let's say just a gratis round. Anyway, this is going to be a bonus round for them, even if they lose 2 or 3 players. Winning this round is instrumental for their momentum to be keeping up.
So I think the one thing I wanted to know is, did they get the rifles back? And I think they did. They're not going to have to reinvest too much, so they've at least kind of ensured that they keep as many rifles that were taken away from those players, as Vlad did very well here. You could see he was trying to stick around to maybe maintain coverage of the utility, and look what it's done to the Purple Cobras. That money is looking rough.
Yeah, this is going to be a half buy. We see, like, you know, mixed weapons here. 1 scout, sheriff, 2 sheriffs actually. And Machina is probably playing with his ultimate. No, not yet. He's probably sitting at 4 or 5 charges. We'll see if he's going to go for those orbs in this round. But in general, it's not looking good for Cobras.
So this is, honestly, I expected a similar performance from someone like, you know, a Liquid or a G2. Maybe not so much G2 because they are that fast and loose style. But for me, I like to see kind of poise. I like to see, okay, let's play it deep, let's play smart, let's kind of set the tone, set the tempo. And that's what SUMN FC are doing. They are making the Purple Cobras play a style that they'd hate. Is have to go on the site hits, but a shot like that might open up an opportunity. Jack's now in a bad spot. You can see all the utility poured in towards the site, and suddenly they've lost control. With Mystic gone down, that's surely a spike plant too, and it is. And now the post plant is a 5v3. SUMN FC caught off, and this hit is looking delicious for the Purple Cobras. Mo and Jack are the last 2 alive and playing back in. It looks rough by all standards. That's a save, surely.
This is a messy round. For SUMN, of course, right? They never have thought that they're going to lose this round. They play against a half buy that doesn't really represent any threat, but it started out with a bang. That scout, that Marshall shot was insanely powerful when it comes to like putting intimidation factor on that team. And because of that, we have seen that SUMN just kind of backed out from the side, allowed Cobras to just take control, get that pause planned, and then we had seen another crazy shot that basically destroyed the confidence in SUMN's NFC retake abilities.
And I want to highlight that is one of the strengths of the Purple Cobras, is the fact that we know they can absolutely bang a shot or 2. So a little bit of a reminder, a little bit of a quick kind of check for SUMN FC saying, hey guys, all right, you can't just take lazy peeks out here and there. You will get punished. And as I said, the Marshal doing the job, it certainly resonates. Makes you feel a little silly, but it is what it is. I want to see what the buy's like coming out. Prioritizing utility, it seems, for Jack here. So going to be down towards a slightly lighter weapon, but he should be able to operate it just fine, considering. I want to see how he approaches this, because we do have a lot of very unique abilities coming out from these guys and how they like to approach the game itself. And a very standard start for the Purple Cobras this time.
What really is really curious for me is that we know, and everyone knows on the server, that currently the Viper is taking a control with that very aggressive one-way, with the snake spikes to just basically cut off any kind of rush after the dash from the jet. But because of that, like, really impenetrable wall on A short, we still see only 2 people on B, which I think is kind of weird because Cobras probably realized it's easier to get on B, but it's so much harder to retake actually that side. So I would love to see SUMN move 1 player to B defense, but we'll see how that goes in the next rounds.
I want to see if Boast would be the one to do it. I'm trying to think of who you'd put away from there. The utility, I feel, for 2 other players. I'll come back to that in a second, because it looks like they're starting to try and build up, and there it is. Boaster is the first man to try and come over. Through the TP, finds Machine, and now looking for more. You can hear the ults being popped, trying to find a bit of damage where they can. And for now, SUMN FC hold the line. That little bit of a dabble towards our window room has been instantly quelled.
That just answers my, you know, everything I was talking about in a second. It's so perfectly played because instead of being defensive with 3 people on B, they just played an aggressive stance that put another player on that side. And now, easy advantage for SUMN. Very nicely, confidently played.
Yeah, these trades are fantastic for SUMN FC. Not overstepping, not taking too many individual fights on their own, ensuring they always have a trade available. Now, let's see if Honeybee can do anything. I think it's time to look towards keeping the gun up, trying to keep that economy building for yourself. But we were considering, okay, what happens if they keep attempting to go towards B on the attacking side for the Purple Cobras? Well, the answer was that Boaster would be the first man through. He'll take that, I guess, duty as his own. He'll be the first one through the teleporter instantly there. And I think you're right, having Viper in the position she is currently, you don't need to have 3 players dedicated. So maybe seeing that is very, very, very reassuring.
You're really right, but I wanted to point out that SUMN has all those small details really placed well into their strategy. The snakebite going in on the garden to stop in the rush, because basically you cannot push for that. If you ever push for snakebite, the damage that it does is really just doesn't matter. This is gonna be like 30 damage or something, but the debuff allows everyone to be just killed with two shots.
This is sick. Okay, so we've had a 2-play push through the showers, and they've switched over Viper to just contain space. I love this little bit of a defensive strategy coming out from SUMN FC. I hope the Desk can break this down if it does come into like a really nice piece. But this is a lot of pressure on the Viper. This comes down to Mystic buying time for rotations to come back around, because they have information that A, no one's here, but it's all up long, and the hit's going to come through pretty soon. Mo's in position. Mystic's already done incredibly well. Boaster's there, and it's just gorgeous to see a plan come together like this. The Purple Cobras, it's all been seen. He doesn't need to see the kill.
What a beautiful round. This just brings joy to my heart. Everything here fell into place like a puzzle, you know? It was every single piece of utility was backed up by a movement from the team and ended up in a kill. So first we have seen Viper push with the utility, with the snakebite to stop any rush to Hookah, which allowed 2 players from a teleport and get easy kills because the opponents were distracted by the utility in window on B. And then in the meantime, we had Rolling Thunder coming into on side that just basically dismantled the last two pieces of the opponent's team, which were put into a recon dart. So
it's perfect.
You could have just killed everyone without even watching that game monitor.
I absolutely love that. I could watch that all day long. Seeing defensive teams taking a proactive stance is wonderful. And they only have to do it once, because now, for the Purple Cobras, they have to be so aware of the chance of someone pushing out aggressively for information. Now we're seeing a bit of a response, having Jet pushing in towards showers, maybe trying to reclaim some of that territory and build up towards a potential A hit. We haven't seen this kind of 3-2 split potentially, so I want to see how this works out. Mystic a little bit deeper this time. Jet's already in, so you're going to see it starting to build. Machine with a good first pick. That's isolated Doma, and now he's dead. But Mo's going to try and even the kill, but nothing coming for this one, but over-aggression from Machina. That's going to be a problem. Mystic still holding the line.
If I'm not mistaken, Fancy's on 2 HP. He was sitting in a snakebite while droning. He had to cancel the drone and just basically change his position. You know, it's a 4v4, but SUMN still has a lot of utility that they can use for this retake, but I don't think they will need it.
At the moment, it's going pretty well. The Killjoy's been removed from viability, so Huckster's sweating bullets now. It looked so good for just a second. He's got one, spins around, the second evades, and Mo gets the job done. I am thoroughly impressed once again by SUMN FC. That was the best we've seen, I feel, from the Purple Cobras. Get on the site, get the pick, spike down, but then that retake was so well choreographed.
Yeah. You know, this reminds me a little bit of Heretics from yesterday.
Yes.
It's a very similar playstyle, but I do think SUMN are actually better at it. Like, it looks like a ballet. Coordinated, everything just feels right. When you watch it, it's like an orchestrated piece. Very nicely done. And I also like very much one thing that Mystic is now doing with the Viper. He is not a character like, let's say, Killjoy right now, who needs to be in a certain position or range of her utility to make it work. He can be roaming the entire map. We have seen him first 3 rounds basically put an anchor on A to give information to the opponents that he's not moving from here. But now we can see him. He was once on B, now he's on Heaven A. He's taking different positioning, so it's pretty tough for Cobras to attack on site and be aware where can anyone be. They have to check all the angles. There's not a single common one that they had seen in the past.
I'm enamored with how SUMN FC are playing so far. I want to see if it continues. I think the Purple Cobras, the problem is, stylistically, playing up against a team so well stratted and prepared makes it very hard for their playstyle to apply. It's kind of that FPX up against G2 style. Those kind of contrasting abilities, but the Cobras just aren't getting the opportunity to get going. We know they can frag out, we know that they can take big results, but this was meant to be a good map for them, keep in mind. So if you're just tuning in, this was meant to be probably the one the Purple Cobras were going to do well on, but we'll see. Already the ults are being popped, so maybe keeping control early on. Curious. First time we're seeing it towards the showers.
Peculiar move. Typically, a Viper would like to cut out a bigger, let's say, range of possible motions from their opponents, but in this case, he just shuts off showers completely for anyone. Oh, by the way, one very interesting thing. SUMN plays 5 Phantoms, which I love, based on their compositions, because there are cages from Cypher. The Mystic plays Viper with the wall and the smokes, and then we have Doma with the smokes as well. Basically, the entire map will be smoked off to some degree, and because of that, you want to play Phantom because of the suppressors. There are no traces. There's no way of shooting you through the smoke because you leave basically no signs of your shots.
Well, those knives are going to leave a couple of signs. They know what's happening now. So Jack's a little isolated on his own. Could be in danger, but wait, they don't check on it. That could have been a bigger problem than it was, but he does manage to live. This will be a retake time, but let's have a little look to see if maybe Hugster can get something done. No, through the smoke, the wall just plays so well for Boaster. He can sit patiently on the other side. And they've maintained this kind of defensive side territory here. So this retake has building blocks. Now the utility, what's left? A good amount. They haven't burned through their utility on SUMN FC. Whereas for the Cobras, it's the guns at their side at this point, and they are weaker, but a plant is good. It means the clock is in their favor, but the retake is so well done. The trades are there. 0 threats to be found. I'm really liking this team.
So, what I really liked about this situation is how calm SUMN played. They know they play against a half-buy. So it's crucial to not give any weapons to the opponents. This is why I have seen Chuck not play aggressively on elbow, well, when he could, because he did dink the opposing Jet, which was Mahina, and he didn't push him, even though he knew he's basically one-shot. So he played strategically. He didn't want to go for a possible trade and give that Phantom, because that actually gives more opportunities for Cobras to win that round. So very well played, good communications, I'm gonna assume, because someone is keeping everything in check.
Yeah, and I want to go back to what Mini said as well at the start. The fact he said it was going to be a clean game, I didn't think he meant like this. This is as clean as you could ever dream of. As a coach, you're sat there just beaming at this point. But the Purple Cobras need an answer, and we've seen this again, this aggression. I love seeing defensive side aggression, but it is going to always leave a gap available, and this is seeming to be aware to Doma. They seem to know, well, we've left short open, so there could be a threat. Let's see if they handle it. They do. Doma just proven to be better. That Omen just different. And now Machine is still here towards Lamps, looking for the opportunity. You can see the ult being popped, so now the information starts to filter through. They haven't got the spike down yet, but the shock darts are there, and that Jet is going to be feeling a little uncomfortable. Hugster does get removed, and now just 2 alive for the Purple Cobras, but where is that spike? It's in the hands of Jet, so maybe there's still a chance to get that timing in their favor. So they're looking for information. Machine trying to pull himself back around, look for a player. They could do with a pick in this, but you can see Mystic already taking territory. Yeah, takes territory, takes the head. Machine goes down. Say goodnight. This is an outclassing, and I really didn't expect to see this.
It's just so clean. I mean, at this point, probably viewers are like a little bit mad at me because I'm just praising SUMN this entire game, but it's a 1-8 scoreline so far.
Yeah.
It's really because of the fact that they play so well, and this is why I'm so happy seeing this, because personally, I love a playstyle like this. I don't like bravado. I don't like being, flashy. Like Scream impressed me yesterday because he was playing out of his mind.
Of course.
But this is more impressive. This is something I love in tactical shooters.
What is this buy? Hold on. I just saw a Sheriff for no reason. I assume there is a real gun with that. I don't know why there wouldn't be.
For sure has Phantom.
Yeah, it's just kind of like it caught my eye, but they should be fine. The Purple Cobra is still looking for an opportunity. These kind of 3-2 splits towards B. They have got a spike plant, I believe, on this side, but they haven't been able to maintain in those retakes, those post plants. And already, let's look for the first pick to come through. Jack's already going to be up for the challenge. Has a little bit of presence noted towards window, so they're going to have to clear that as they go. Doma sitting a little further back. Position now noted, so they are getting the info, and you can see intention now being shown behind it. But falling away, no real pressure yet.
Yeah, they didn't breach anything. They used the utility. They have no paranoia anymore. Only one smoke available from Vlad. and they didn't push on site, which is very interesting. I wanted to point out one more thing that is very important. In the beginning of the round, we had Mo40 was pushing showers. He used the Hurricane arrow because he really wanted that orb to get his ultimate online. And now with Hunter's Fury available, they have an easy retake, or they have an easy way of delaying the plant, which will probably happen, and we're gonna see Mo just using it from the defender spawn.
Okay, but they've made it on the site. This is the first time we've actually seen 2 picks untraded as well. Nice work from the Cobras, maybe just tempering the pace slightly, and they've actually got it working for themselves. Down to Mo and Mystic to try and clutch this out. Surely the spike goes down. It is. And the position they're left in, I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't go for it at this point. I'm sure their money is in a safe enough spot, so you might as well give it a crack. But at the moment, the Purple Cobras have this kind of wrapped up. You've got utility starting to be shown, though. They're starting to have a little look. You can see the stepping out here, trying to get around. Nice little readjust, though. And Omen, nice little off angle for Vlad. And this looks like it should be the second, and it is. Well done in the end to the Cobras to kind of temper the pace. It looked like they went for the initial hit to draw out utility from the defending side, reset themselves, and then re-aggressed.
Yeah, and they were stopped by Mo's ultimate to plant for the first time, but unfortunately, SUMN didn't have the strength behind it to push that position on A side and try to like kind of retake it the moment the ultimate was done. So what I really liked about Cobras here was the execution in the post-plant situation, where we have seen there's a duel starting between Mystic and the Jet in the window between Machina, and then the Omen just double peeks and assures his teammate he doesn't die. This was very well done, very well synergy by those two players.
Ooh,
oh my God.
The man, he's got flair, to say the very least. But right now, you can see instantly the Omen on the opposing side falls back. Says, all right, well, you can take that. That's not where you plant the spike anyway. I don't care. Take that control. But let's see what Hugstar does with this now. It's opened up a window of opportunity. He gets the tag, not the frag. Mystic turns around. And all the kills thus far have been favorable to SUMN FC. Yes, they lost part of the side, but not all of it. That Viper wall is going to keep them at bay as well. This is tricky for the Cobras. No picks are being found.
Yeah, they have no idea how to deal with the Viper right now. The Viper wall kind of is like a little bit helpful for them, but at the same time, it's easier to retake the side with that wall. So they're a little bit confused. And unfortunately for Hugstar, he was confused by seeing 2 opponents at the same time, and now easy retake. Wow, that's so clean. Flawless, by the way. Which is brought to you by Prime Gaming.
There it is. And a lot of this game has been flawless. I think, for me, this is just watching a very well-constructed team. Now, keep in mind, and I know that narrative that Mini didn't want to harp on is, these guys, get them a damn team. Look at how they're playing this. Now, will this work against the next round of opponents if they win this? I don't know. I don't know how far you can take this, because I feel like they are not holding anything back. And someone like, let's say, FPX might be watching, goes, we are going to take note of all of this now. Yeah. We are not going to, ignore
We're
this
going to steal some strats.
Yep. So again, we'll see a triple stack towards window. Oh! And say goodbye to 2 of them. Boaster keeping hopes alive for SUMN FC this round and re-aggresses. The man is bold today. He's holding this down, and he can then funnel the reinforcements to say, all right, just care long. That's the only place they can be.
They lined up like an average Jonas lineup. That was unfortunate for the players from SUMN.
All the utility being poured down now, all the ultimates pop. The Cobras know that they need a buffer of bare minimum 3, something to work with on that second half. And you've got to give it credit where it's due. They've just about found it. I thought maybe there was a chance for it still to go the other way, but yeah, they're not letting this go for a second. Mo is going to be forced to fight and potentially forced to die. And yeah, Vlad's going to seal that deal.
He was shot in the knee, but he had 4 HP, so it doesn't matter. Yep. I really like this. I think this was the round that was kind of showing how Cobras typically play.
Yeah.
Overconfident pushes, good shooting, and kind of dismantle the opponents, right?
Yep.
But it didn't work for the first, well, let's say, 10 rounds. And they found a pace when the half was already over. Now, the big test comes in. We know that SUMN doesn't play with a single duelist. How they will use now the composition to a coordinated attack? And I'm 100% certain. They have to get something, like they have something in their pocket, because they cannot rely on flashes from Phoenix, from like getting any kind of aggressive push with his ultimate. There's no Reyna that just goes in, uses Leer, and just goes with a massive confidence on site. So it's going to be interesting. And I'm also interested because we have seen so far all the Viper players on defense only play with one setup. which kind of surprises me. So I would love to see now something like a little bit of variation coming from Mystic when it comes to his utility usage.
Yeah, let's see how they try and navigate the lack of duelist for SUMN FC, and obviously for the other side, for the Purple Cobras, they've got. I honestly say at a scoreline like this, you kind of need the pistol to start with. It's so imperative.
Yeah.
So for now, it's actually a big stack towards the A side for the defensive side. They have 4 players here. They've left just Killjoy on the other side. Quick nades and a quick bait through the TP. SUMN FC go, and they're waiting for anyone to come through on the other side. No one's there. So for now, it's all for nothing. But they're going to draw utility. But keep your eye on Viper.
That wall
Viper's the one
is
with the bomb.
ingenious.
Yep.
I'm gonna talk it a little bit
Do it.
later, but no, let's see what is happening with this round. But that wall is beautiful.
Okay, does Hugster realize what's going on here? That's what I'm waiting to see, because this is all another fake. They're trying to pull rotations around, and they have dismantled the stack. But Hugster's getting curious, and curiosity, well, we know it can kill cats, but can it kill SUMN FC? No, not right now it can't. Mystic's already found him, and you're going to see once again the wall goes up. They start to take map territory, map control. Round we go again. Where are they going to end up? If we don't know, I'm pretty sure the Cobras don't know. They're baffled, but they're still banging out headshots.
Oh, the plan didn't fall through, let's say like that. They wanted to push a fake towards B, but Cobras actually checked showers and the A short, so now they have to come into B control,
30 seconds
which
left.
wasn't a fake in the first place.
But they've still got a favorable fight towards the site itself, so Spike should go down. That wall kind of allowed safe passage for the Viper to get across through the TP. But now in the post plant, it is a 3v3, so chances are pretty fair in this one, and Machine's position is going to be rough. Oh my god, Mo somehow wins that fight, and he's still going!
Headshots.
He's just turreting around on his own! And yes, 2 still stand, but look at them! The walking wounded! And now that post plant utility is going to make this horrific to play against, and they know it!
Oh, and he dies to the snake bite. Yeah, okay, this was beautiful. That was one thing that didn't really make me happy, but it's still not done. 1 HP on Vlad, but that snake bite is so powerful.
And yeah, the defuse, done for. Mystic, you are my MVP. You've just shown how you play Viper with style.
All right, so I'll take this and make a segment later on, kind of like Mitch, and I'm gonna explain what happened here.
Yep.
But first of all, Mystic did wait for the round to start to use his Viper wall to go through the teleport, which allowed him to fake entrance on A short and then cut off the CT on B side to allow passage when they fake. They want to fake B. They go with the Breach, can't remember, I think Breach and Sova go on B with those 2 players, they have the best ability to kind of fake it, because they go for the flashes, they go for the recon arrow, which kind of signals they're gonna go in, and then they're gonna want to execute on A. Unfortunately, Cobras kind of, read through that and pushed showers to get information if someone is waiting there. They got 2 kills, and that kind of ruined the plan, but I really loved it. And then Mystic with the lineup on the snakebite for the post plant, everything was really well orchestrated.
I love the fact we're seeing a lot of, I guess, what everyone theory crafted about, how you could use Viper really well, post-plant scenarios, how the wall will come into effect, the ability to have kind of a one-way smoke potential to it. There's so much viability, but we were waiting to see that one player to kind of show us how it's done. I think we're definitely seeing it here, and bear in mind, this is just pistols coming out for the Cobras. We are on a frenzy or 2, ghost here and there, but it's nothing much to write home about. So it should be a clean one for SUMN FC. That will put them up to 11. It's why getting that pistol round was going to be so imperative. And for now, keeping it very clean. Hugster's the only one to do some damage. And yeah, this is great stuff from SUMN. And the Cobras unable to make much happen with these pistols.
Yep. The same buy coming from SUMN, they had on defense 4 Spectres and Chuck buying a Stinger. Basically allows them to then kind of exchange one of those Stingers to a Spectre in case someone falls down. But in general, they don't really overcommit. Because I personally really dislike when someone is buying a Phantom or a Vandal on second round.
I'm with you, yeah.
So here they play very safely, and at the same time they know how to use that composition they have now for close combat range, combat. And because of all the smokes, all the snake bites, all the ability to just close the range between them and the opponents, they can play with Spectres and Stingers really well, so they don't need to force Phantoms and Vandals on second round.
This is where it might eventually kind of meet its match. Obviously, the buy will be better for the Cobras, but their economy is going to be a worse spot. So we'll see what comes out and see if the Cobras do maintain in this one. And I'd imagine, seeing what SUMN FC are like so far, they have a plan, but look at the aggression coming down already. Very attentive play from the defensive side. Bringing rifles up close quarter could be a little scary. And just on the other side, SUMN FC are being patient, they're being subtle, and they're waiting their turn. This looks like a set piece again. Yeah, this is looking rough for the Cobras. Fancy's in danger. Doma's there. Goodbye. That's 2 big kills, but Huckster desperately trying to keep this together, but SUMN are still being so competitive. This is a clean plant. The retake is still a mile away, and there's rifles to be collected. If Jack wants one, there's got to be one nearby.
Yeah, Mo already picked one up, and I think Chuck can find one on this side, but he went for lab, and I don't think anyone died in there. Still, this is a round already won for SUMN. They killed 3 people. That hurt the economy so badly. So even if they're gonna fail on this post plant, it's still a good round. But it doesn't seem like it. This is gonna be tough for Cobras.
I don't know how they're going to get him off the spike at this point. They're going to have to commit to it eventually. Halfway there, gets off, goes back in, gun out now, turns around, Jack's down.
Oh! The perfect setup. The crossfire was so well done. And the moment he peeked was also great because 2 players from Cobras were busy with that one man backstabbing them. And then we have seen the Lambs peek the perfect moment when the Killjoy had to peek and help his own teammate. Beautiful play.
This isn't it. I'm happy to see this. So much composure coming out. And the Purple Cobras, it must be horrible to play against a team that is so well prepared that you've seen occasional moments from like Hugster just popping off. Individually, the guy is sick. Like, I don't need to tell you guys at home that. You should already know, but I mean, he is having a tough time here. The way they are playing is not allowing much, and it's the final go of things, at least in map 1. Boaster leading the way towards long, over towards B, but you're going to see a couple of players up for the fight, and it might be a brawl. Already Honeybee going to try and sting, but makes only a touch of damage come from it. And effective trading leaves Boaster still standing, but at a player disadvantage.
Still, decent round by Cobras. This is like the Hail Mary. They need to win this round, but fortunately for them, they did stop the initial rush. So the 1 kill coming from, I think that was Vlad, on the Omen in the garden, the judge did work. He needed that 1 kill. If he wouldn't have a kill there was no trade coming in from Machina, so this was imperative to actually get anything going for that round.
I want to see what Boaster does with this. How bold are you feeling? Because you've got the spike right now, Boaster. Now, you've cleared the back of the defensive side spawn, the tunnel that leads around, so he knows there's no one there, so they've got time to play with. If they could get a pick, that would be perfect. That's the plan in their mind. Is anyone anywhere near us? Can we get an aggressive pick going? And for now, for the Cobras, stand still, hold an angle, and just play for the retake if we have to.
Yeah, I really like what Cobras are doing. They're
30 seconds left.
Playing very patiently, something that is off-brand with them. So this shows the respect they're giving to the opponents because they want to retake as free at the same time, not going 1 by 1 to be isolated.
Okay, but the thing is now, they've cleared a big enough area, they should have a good knowledge of where the retake's going to come from. I'd have liked to have seen them maybe come up with something a little bit cheesy, maybe double up, but I'm sure someone know better than me. Jet's now been spotted and noted, but the players towards CT are a little isolated, but nice work from Machine. Takes down Mo, and now it's just Boaster in a 1v3. Players everywhere, and he's good for 1, but not for 2. The defuse will come out, and the Cobras live to fight another day.
They can still bite. It's kind of ironic, they play with a snake, but they play against a viper. Snake bite. And they got bitten in 1 round.
Yeah, I mean, this has been... As someone, like, I think a lot of us at the very start of Valorant sat there and, okay, what's viable and what's not? I think my one mistake was me saying, nah, Sova's not that good anyway. Really? Like, yeah, that was what I was like, nah, you know, that won't be it. Viper, surely, but obviously...
well, Viper needed that buff patch.
Yes,
you know?
100%.
Without that, she wasn't good. Like, the snake butt was basically just a decoy. Yep. But now, with the debuff, like, going for 2 seconds whenever someone is out of it, it's... like, it changed so much. I think that was the most important part of her kit being changed. Sova? Well, I think every single tactical shooter would like to have a guy like that in their lineup.
Must be nice. Yeah, a cheeky little, you call in the UAV, you're fine. You just get a freebie of information. But we are seeing that long play again, a 4-play split here. With 1, the Cypher just disconnected. So I do want to see how they want to approach with this and what the intention is. So far, they haven't given up much information as to where they are. And it looks like they're going up against 2 players on the B site.
This is going to be a long round, though. I feel like SUMN doesn't really want to push like immediately, even if they're gonna make it an intent. Will they push it? Oh, actually, it seems like they might. Oh, they did.
This is dangerous. Doma's going to try and get the plant down. Yeah, Spike is in. This is a 5v5 post plant, and they're on the site. Vlad is right there, but so's Boaster. Mo in support. The boombot comes out, but it gets nothing done. Doesn't draw the eyes away long enough to make it count. And he's just going to have to soak that damage as now the 3v3. This is so close. But bear in mind, that clock is favorable to the team on the attacking side here. It's now ticking in their favor, and you're right, where is Viper? It's in that post-plant position again. They have to clear that, otherwise you're going to have that utility thrown in. The defuse is going to be horrifically hard to pull off. And Jack is just going to buy time. That's going to be another dead, and this is surely going to be it. Mo sealing the deal. I've got to say it. SUMN FC just made VALORANT look gorgeous.
Yeah, this was beautiful. I do actually feel so impressed, like I never had been impressed before when watching someone play VALORANT. Everything was in a playbook. They've written it down, they practiced it, they know what to do, when to act on it, and they knew how to press like their own strength to get an advantage. This last round, by the way, when they had a post-plant, let's say delayed utility usage set up, the Viper Snakebite and Sova's Shock Dart at the same time basically kills everyone there, because there's also, as you can see, a Viper Smoke. Everyone is getting decayed by the smoke. Snakebite applies the debuff, and then even if the Shock Dart deals 20 damage, it's like 40 out of the blue, so maximum 180 with one Shock Dart. It's insanely powerful.
Oh, I am so happy to be seeing this sort of playstyle coming out. Now, I was worried that the nerves might get the better of SUMN FC. Confidence was going to be key, and it's come through in droves. Having a game plan in mind has kept them set, given them that task to follow and chase towards. And honestly, for the Cobras, I hope they can mentally reset. This is going to be a very tough series going forward. Keeping in mind at the start, I guess the desk would say that, you know, the Purple Cobras, this was a good map pick for them, but now coming into the next one, this was going to be more favorable towards SUMN FC potentially.
Yeah, I would say they are on a streak.
Yeah.
Like they won 13 rounds against 3. When you're Cobras, you're in a really bad spot mentally. You need to work on that. I hope they have like the let's say experience to know what to do in those rounds, because veteran players coming in to a tournament, they know it's just one game. It's like take it like a best of one.
Yeah.
Hey, it happened. Now we just need to win another one. And then so now we approach this game as 2 best of ones instead of a 1 best of 3.
Okay, I need to take a break, look back, because I want to see some of those lineups again. Hopefully on the beautiful Prime Gaming map highlights, we can have a little look of them once again, because they were gorgeous from SUMN FC. Let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll be with the desk to talk you through everything. I'm sure they're as excited as we just were.
"30 seconds left. One player remaining. 30 seconds left. One player remaining. One player remaining. One player remaining. Flawless.
Off your feet!
One player remaining. One player remaining.